I will now invite a person who is very keen to return to India. Asha Jadeja Motwani is an angel investor and philanthropist based in Silicon Valley. She invests in for-profit technology, internet, and high social New York and India. Asha and her husband Rajiv Motwani co-invested in over 100 startups as angels. Rajiv Motwani was the founding advisor to Google and the author of Google's algorithmic architecture. Asha also runs Motwani Jadeja Foundation, which is a non-profit supporting the startup ecosystem. We look forward to having you in India with us, Asha. But now, your grand keynote address. Over to you, Asha. When you complete, please hand over back to me.
I think they're changed for life. For some reason, I feel like what we are doing is, I think we're doing something right here. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but something seems to energize them like crazy. They go back with a mission to first of all be extremely useful in the community and be actually change makers in the community. But now I think they're learning how to. It is discovering something new about what it is bringing to the table for the fellows. First 2-3 days people don't understand exactly what it is that we are trying to achieve, but it is a constructivist learning approach for all of us, and we are creating this fellowship as we go along. When you have scarcity actually in your own life, how do you understand sort of the zeitgeist or the meaning of abundance and really put it in your own practice? It's crucial to do that. I think one of the key criteria that we use in picking fellows is that they should be coming from fairly modest backgrounds, yet they have had the attitude of caring for the community, and they have taken it upon themselves to problem solve. And that, I think, for us is a big thing. So if they are already showing that, even when they don't have resources, imagine what they'll do if they had resources. In the noise of the South Asian system, where there is too much noise, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of people don't have the confidence that they are doing the right thing. Sometimes coming here and having somebody who has been there, done that, like the Tycon mentors, myself and a bunch of other mentors we met at Open. I think to have more senior mentors come to me and say, oh, that's a great idea, let's give it a try. I think that alone is a big, shot in the arm. Just to know that they're on the right track, that's a huge thing, right? So being validated when they visit outside is a big thing. I think that's what I see. I see them really being change makers in their own communities, and we don't have any expectations about what exactly they'll be doing. But this is our 6th year now, and they have way surpassed our expectations, all of them. So it's just it's a blessing to see this happening, and it's also benefiting the fellowship actually and the foundation in tangible ways, because everybody is helping everybody else. It has become a tight community now. It's become like a little family now, So.
This Rajiv Circle Fellowship started about 3 years ago, and the purpose of doing that fellowship is to bring in entrepreneurs from India and really plunge them and immerse them into the Silicon Valley, so that you all get exposed to this interesting new way of thinking.
What is the deep problem you're solving for a significant percent of people, or in some cases?
The question that I was asking myself is, would it help if some of these entrepreneurs came to the Bay Area? And I basically just asked these folks, would you be interested in coming to the Bay Area, if there was a fellowship that we hosted and we took care of everything A to Z, because I feel that you would really benefit from this, And they were of course thrilled.
I really like the culture of Silicon Valley. I really like what people are doing here, like is related to entrepreneurship, startups and company.
I would convert from an innovator to an entrepreneur at the end of the fellowship program.
The entrepreneurs that come through Rajiv Circle are stellar in their own right. So we really don't have to do anything. All we have to do is just maybe put them in touch with the right people, and most of them take things forward on their own. The secret sauce of Silicon Valley is a mindset of abundance and collaboration, which is that you help others and that help is going to come back to you tenfold. and people really believe that, and that's why you have this level of mentorship and this mindset of giving back in the Bay Area.
Take this as an opportunity to really be nourished.
Okay, so on behalf of the Motwani Jadeja Family Foundation and my two daughters, I would like to thank the PanIIT team here, Debashish, Pradeep, Ashutosh, Krishan, Sumit, and all of you who have made it possible for myself and my startups that are in your startup showcase to really reach some of the brightest young minds of India in getting our messages out to what we are keen about right now, what we are working on, and what we plan to do as we enter India. But I want to mention that my own partnership with PanIIT is not new. As many of you know, my late husband, Rajiv Motwani, was an alum of IIT Kanpur, and he had not only been an undergraduate from IIT Kanpur, but I think after that he had been, he had come to UC Berkeley for his PhD in computer science, and then started, as faculty member at Stanford. And as some of you might know, Rajiv had been, instrumental in really pushing the frontiers of computer science, which involved, pretty serious interaction with mathematicians. And a lot of those frontiers actually are what has, ended into, or, ultimately culminated into some very key companies that have come out from Stanford and which have been part of the whole, the DNA of the internet. Just like Rajiv, there are many IIT alumni in the US and India, as you all know, that have been the core DNA of the Internet 1.0, 2.0, and now the Web 3.0 that I'm sure we are going to be speaking about in the next few days. In this, as many of you know, Rajiv and I not only, were founding stakeholders in Google, but we also had invested in about 200 other angel investors in 200 other startups in the Bay Area, some pretty key technology companies in the Bay Area. And I think that is what, for me personally, is what is important to bring to the table in India. As I dabble in what I really want to bring to the table, I mean, there is so much capital in India now, but the capital is not of that great importance, as it is the network and the the legacy of what IITians have done and what they have actually sort of gifted, I would say, to the whole tech ecosystem in the US. As you all know, American tech is so preponderantly Indian in its nature, and there are so many IITians who are key members of some of the top Bay Area companies, and in fact even Seattle companies. And this is what I think is crucial to develop more, to deepen more as we go forward, in terms of having this sort of a dynamic corridor between Indian startups, Indian IT, and the Silicon Valley. This is crucial because, in my view, I see Silicon Valley as moving at, let's say it's moving at 5,000 miles an hour. I think the next fastest would be probably Israel, which is moving at 500 miles an hour. And so the speed is at which innovation is happening in Silicon Valley is so profoundly greater than anywhere else on the planet. And the fact that it has such a significant component of Indian diaspora here, I think it gives India and its Indian tech ecosystem sort of I would say an unfair advantage in giving us the kind of escape velocity and momentum that that would not be possible if we didn't have that kind of DNA of the Indian diaspora. Even though my journey of investing in Indian startups is relatively little and relatively recent, actually, I'm delighted to announce that I have a long-term commitment that I'm making to my partnership with PanIIT. And my involvement with Indian startups will not only deepen with this commitment to PanIIT, but I'm deeply honored that this stellar group of the PanIIT alumni have put in this much time and effort into creating a platform and I would even say a launching pad for Indian startups to be really going global very quickly. It's happening already. I do see a lot of Indian unicorns which are going. Imagined even 2 years ago. It's already happening, but I think this can be accelerated further if there was a little bit more kind of effort that could go into developing the synergy between India and the Silicon Valley. This is reflected not just in the global nature of the tech Indian ecosystem, but an unprecedented political will of Prime Minister Modi and his team to empower exponential growth of our companies. The Prime Minister's vision enabled a powerful shift in the government to let India's IT sector grow unfettered by outdated regulations. But more needs to be done. I mean, much as we have seen stellar growth, I think we have a few more things that we can achieve if there was more consciousness, more willingness for bold change that is necessitated by India's emergence as a global power, even as a global geostrategic power. My own recommendations to the PM and his team have been, and I've been trying to get get some of these recommendations in, and for some strange reason, I'm finding that there is a willingness to respond to some of these things. So the first recommendation for the Indian government, all government would be all government funding or Indian taxpayer money allocated towards supporting the startup ecosystem must go directly to startups for their growth. These funds must never be used for building more incubators. This is something that I have, this is my own understanding that I have stumbled upon after a lot of research, after a lot of conversations with people in the government. And I do feel that the incubator buildings are not necessary as much as they were before. So now, whatever funds we have, government funds that we have, or Indian taxpayer money that we have allocated towards the startup ecosystem must go towards directly into investing into the startups. Government funding allocated towards venture capital must be strictly in the hands of established VCs and angel investors who have a record of success in funding, building, and exiting successful companies. We cannot have us handling venture capital. It has to be in the hands of really successful VCs. Second recommendation that I've made to the PM's team it must remove all obstacles to Indian unicorns going public directly on NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange. I'm personally of a strong belief that if Indian unicorns did bypass the Indian stock market, I think it's not such a bad thing. And I'm bringing and willingness in Delhi for some of these changes to happen. Third thing that I'm recommending, and it's an important change that we must all advocate for, is removal of all sort of regulation that imposes criminal penalties on IT companies if they are perceived to be too independent or dealing with Indian market, or if they are seen as skirting Indian law. Criminal penalties are a problem. I actually think that, as I myself try and bring foreign direct investment conversations into India, I find that people are afraid of this whole criminal litigation, that requirement that we have. So, for example, if a company skirts Indian law or breaks some Indian law, the penalty should be financial. A founder should not be taken to jail for if a company has broken some rules. And I think this is an important change we will need to make as billions of dollars of venture capital money leaves China. This money is attracted to India, wants to come to India, but it fears this criminal litigation problem. So it has to be addressed and removed. If Twitter, for example, gets into trouble with Indian law, we cannot be having you cannot be sending police to Twitter. It has to be a penalty. It has to be some other kind of a legal and financial penalty. As an emerging global power, India must appreciate and respect global norms of corporate behavior and compliance. So compliance penalties must be financial and never criminal in majority of the infractions. And the fourth recommendation that I've made to the PM is the necessity to look at crypto in a much more serious way and integrating it very smartly in the India stack. As some of you might know, I think Nandan Nilekani and Balaji Srinivasan of Andreessen Horowitz here, one of the top venture capitalists, they've been already working on what this new architecture might look like if crypto was officially part of the India stack. What would that look like? So I think that action is already happening, and I think PanIIT can help accelerate that conversation towards its logical end, where this is nicely integrated. I want to give a couple of ending thoughts about the peculiar situation that we are in, that we as a nation are in. We are at an unusual time in history where not only do we have unique opportunities staring at us, but we also have unique challenges. As we have seen in the second wave of COVID, we saw that there are frailties in Indian infrastructure and in the in Indian systems of governance. Those things came to light because of the Indian the COVID second wave in India and also in the US and in the rest of the world. But these things are there as far as right now. It's manageable because it was just the pandemic. But if there was any other geopolitical or even military situation that could arise, I think there is it's in the national interest for Indian tech sector to be fully on board and working with the Indian military on making sure that all systems are in place in case of any emergencies. I'm actually delighted that the Prime Minister Modi has made it his top agenda to partner with United States and Israel on military front. But this is something that's evolving fast, and it is something that the IIT alumni and startups cannot afford to not look at seriously. This is something that should be on our radar very closely as we move forward. With that, I would like to once again thank the organizers of PanIIT, and I'm deeply honored to be working with people like you, Debashish, Pradeep, and Krishan, and all of you. It is just such a joy to know that this is only a starting point, and that we are going to be working together for many years to come. So once again, thank you, and look forward to more.